is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for giving me an opportunity. It's been my privilege in the 3 decades or more that I've been elected office, starting with City Council, to become friends and part of the disability community. Spent a lot of time with special needs, special education, teachers, young people in California. There was a time when I was in the state legislature where Governor Brown and we developed a formula to help. It was called a local control formula. Billions of dollars reallocated to give school districts more discretion rather than have the state overly manage very different communities in a large state. And I had a superintendent I had great respect for in a medium-sized district tell me I could take all this extra money and put it into my special needs community and it still wouldn't be enough. So my question, Mr. Almiki, is the GAO just did a report that it's gotten worse. To try to attract people to go into teaching in general and retain people, particularly for this community that's grown with challenges around developmentally challenged students and population, autism and other things, that it's GAO says 15% of the student population in the United States is in this category, but we can't get young people to go into teaching in general, but particularly into this community. And then we get these wonderful people that we all have had the good fortune to be able to work with who want to go in this field and they burn out. The retention is more challenging than actually getting people to go into the field. So given that it's been difficult all along, that IDEA was a wonderful idea by Congress many years ago. I've had administrators complain to how much time they spend doing the paperwork in IDEA, but would like more discretion just to solve the problem, along with the oversight that is completely reasonable for Congress to ask for and our role in this community. Could you just maybe enlighten us with the GAO report of the challenges that you see that have only seemed to be getting worse for this particular community and the needs for this community for both attracting good teachers but retaining them, and what we need to do to accomplish that goal, to attract many of these wonderful young people to go into the field and then to retain them and give the support they need so these kids can be successful and we change the curve.
Yes. Thank you for that question. A very important component of this ecosystem. And I would echo what some of my colleagues mentioned. The pre-work is really the preparation. We encourage our apprentices to become dual certified, whatever their content is, but then also adding special ed as a dual certification. Some are extremely interested, but say they can't afford the additional classes. So the one thing is on the front end to help and actually incentivize more and more teachers to become dual certified. We know that the student population is becoming more and more diverse. And that includes students of special needs. To be able to serve them well as doing other work, not only requires them to be prepared, but also to have the support within schools. Again, as my colleagues have emphasized, having that one classroom and one teacher trying to not only think about the 30 students that were mentioned, but also 30 diverse needs within that classroom is extremely challenging for one person to do, no matter how gifted they are. And so on the front end, preparing them, but then also making sure that the support continues throughout, because the support for a teacher is also support for the student. We believe in student-centered approaches that are teacher supportive. Having aides and assistants and other colleagues supporting that work, having policies that support students with special needs as well, and making sure that they are not being marginalized, making sure that they are reaching their optimal levels of achievement. All of these things require investment on the front end, but then continuous. Too often, the training, the professional development that our teachers receive is a one-shot deal.
The current superintendent of public instruction in California, Tony Thurman, is a friend from the same community I represent, known him for a long time. His predecessor was one of my best friends. When we talk about this in a big state like California with a lot of diversity, the bureaucracy of trying to get that, just what you described, and then the own sort of administrators' perceptions, given the shortfall in funding, is a real challenge. So even though we, as you just described it, deploying those best practices is another big challenge in big areas. Any response to that?
I would say that there are places, I'm sure, that are doing well, and the strategies that are doing well have to be magnified and exemplified and used as exemplars, and then the incentives to replicate that can continue. Because I think too often there are bright spots, but those bright spots are often disconnected from the discourse around the country about happening, particularly in states like California that are so large, so diverse. And I would just also say, just bringing in people from the community, they're often not invited into the profession.
Mm-hmm. Well, I appreciate that. Mr. Chairman, thanks for indulging me. I yield back.
Very good. Thank you so much. If you're just joining us, this is the subcommittee on early childhood